prices have adjusted in these drafts based on what's happened over the past like 48 hours. Obviously, still here at the top of the draft board, we are going to be taking Jamar Chase. Nothing to think about on that front. Like if you have a top 5 pick, you're going to go Bijan, Gibbs, whatever order you want, 1 and 2. And then 3, 4, 5, you take Chase, JSN, Puka, whatever order you want. We've discussed that for long enough. I think if you are trying to get cute, trying to do something else, you're probably going to be doing yourself a disservice this year. I mean, of course, if you only draft one team and you go, hey, with that one team, I want to get me some Ashton Genty, you do you. But I'm drafting hundreds of teams this offseason. I'm trying to make a significant amount of money, and I'm going to be using every little piece of strategy I can with that. But thank you for everybody who's coming out to the live stream this early. We have a few shout outs to give. Manuel, Bask, Iceberg, longtime member of the flock here. Danielle, we don't have the Ruggs jersey on. We got the Genty jersey on. And yes, we have the Spurs game tomorrow night, which I am very, very excited for. And this may be a little bit of a different draft. This may be a unique one. And that you see JSN make it down to pick 7. I just got done talking about JSN pretty much being a lock for me as a top 5 pick. I would never take Taylor or McCaffrey over him personally, but here you see it in this draft. And it will be interesting to see in the ESPN, Yahoo, like casual or redraft leagues that happen in a couple months. Like, do people take Taylor over McCaffrey? Do people take McCaffrey over JSN? Now, Monkey Punch, that's good to know. Do you mind shooting that to an email, support@flockfantasy.com? I would really appreciate that, my friend. Okay. Now, let's see. James Cook, Amari, and Hampton both go. You're not typically going to see this pairing together. Like, the more common pairing for James Cook teams will be like Saquon Barkley, right? So let me pull up the amount of teams that have drafted James Cook and Saquon Barkley together in these tournaments have been like 1.5%. However, if you look at the amount of teams that have taken James Cook and Amari and Hampton together, it's only at 0.8%. So about half the amount of teams will take Cook and Hampton in this tournament in comparison to Cook and Barkley. And we can also check for Cook and Achane as well. Cook and Achane are at 1.8% of these drafts. So again, considerably higher than the 0.8%, over double will have that pairing, which of course it's up to you on how you determine that you want to balance that best to get leverage over the rest of the field, or take who you perceive to be the best player available. Now, yeah, Monkey Punch, I would really appreciate that, my friend. We're about to be on the clock. My 2 highest ranked players are going to be Jeremiah Love and Nico Collins. And you'll see with ADP, George Pickens has a higher ADP. I think we probably end up taking Jeremiah Love here, knowing that we went wide receiver in round 1. There's a non-0% chance. Like, all these wide receivers are very similar for us. So we're going to take Love. I think you probably will end up seeing A.J. Brown have an ADP ahead of Jeremiah Love, though. I have taken Jamar Chase and Jeremiah Love together in 1.8% of my drafts. They have a pairing across all drafts in 1.9%. So it's not a super unique pair. Okay, George Pickens, Devonta Smith go 23-24. Malik Neighbors has been a big-time faller. If you're looking at my rankings, I don't have Neighbors ranked here. I have McBride, A.J. Brown, then Brees as the top 3 players. I have McBride ahead of A.J. Brown myself. Devonta Smith goes 24. Again, this is what we're talking about with the new prices in these drafts. Before this, you were never seeing Devonta Smith go that high, even though you already knew A.J. Brown was going to get dealt, but the prices are still changing. Let's see. My highest ranked player is McBride. If we get him, we'll take him. My next highest ranked player will be Brees. Yeah, we're going to take McBride here. I have drafted Trey McBride with this starts in 0.9% of my drafts. It is 0.2% owned compared to the rest of the field, which is the most common start if you just look at the field numbers. So We don't have a super unique start, but I am okay with it. Looking at our optimal roster construction after we do this, it is most likely going to be 3 QBs, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. The holdup that I'm going to have with telling you need to go all in on this kind of build through the first 3 rounds is the projections came out from Las Vegas sportsbooks on how offenses project to score this year, and the Cardinals do project as a bottom 3 offense in the league, which is pretty damn scary, to be honest, at least for a start like this. But I want to remind y'all what tournament we are drafting in. Underdog just dropped the Puppy 2. I know people prefer the Puppy tournaments over any other tournament on Underdog pretty much. They dropped this late last night. It's already had 16,000 teams drafted. It's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool with 100K to first, 50,000 to second. The advancement structure is 2 teams out of the 12 teams you draft with. The 2 highest scoring ones are going to make it to the fantasy playoff stretch. Then you're going to be going up against 9 other teams in week 15. If you beat them, you go to week 16, where I believe you're going up against 4 other teams. If you beat them, you go to week 17, where you go up against 749 other teams. And if you beat them, that's how you turn $5 into 100,000. And again, if you're not already drafting on Underdog Fantasy, you can find the link to join in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. I'm drafting here literally every single night on the live stream. I've done this for years. I absolutely love doing this. And if you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy, you're going to be getting $50 added to your account after you play your first 5. Plus, you're going to be getting access to all of the flockfantasy.com best ball tools and all of my best ball rankings that we have an edge in these drafts, as I have personally profited $127,000 drafting these teams over the past 4 seasons. Okay. Now, Rick says, hey, Mason, made my deposit on Underdog, but forgot to put the promo code in. Guessing it's too late. If so, that's okay. My bad. I honestly don't know. You can contact Underdog support if you would like, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to help you with that, my friend. And Victorious Fantasy. Hopefully we get a Flock League audition from you this year, says. Clicked on the thumbnail. Thought you were wearing the Steve Jobs turtleneck. Now that would be a move. Instead of an Ashton Ginty jersey, going with the Steve Jobs turtleneck. But hope you're doing well, my friend. Now, let's see. We have Lad McConkey off the board at 42. Jacobs goes 43. Evans goes 44. Yeah, this team had 5 that started with 0 wide receivers the first 3 rounds. You'd assume that they kind of have to take a receiver here. We can go running back or wide receiver. If you're looking at my rankings, my 2 highest ranked names are going to be running backs. Colson Loveland is not going to be a pick for me as somebody who took Trey McBride in the last round. What does this team do here? They go Loveland. My highest ranked player is going to be Cam Scadaboo, so let's go ahead and let's snag him as our running back too. Let me see. How many times does Scadaboo make it to the Jamar Chase team? And 1.3% of these drafts, you have the Scadaboo team getting the Jamar Chase team getting Scadaboo. Okay. Henderson, 47. J-Mo goes 48. My highest ranked players are Waddle and Swift. You can also kind of see this with my exposures here. Those are the 2 guys that I've drafted the most at the 4-5 turn. But once we only have 1 wide receiver through the first 4 rounds, I am not taking a running back. If we end up getting Jalen Waddle off the board, I think the other name that we would end up taking instead would be Terry McLaurin, who's my next highest. But Rome goes, you know what we're going to do here instead? Cam Scadaboo is paired up with Jalen Waddle significantly more than he is paired up with Terry McLaurin, looking at the combos tool. So I'm going to go for the more unique build. Again, you can, 1, see that if you have the draft assistant to work with. But 2, it's also a little intuitive. I would have known this before we built out all the draft tools with flockfantasy.com. Just because Scadaboo has an ADP here in the middle of the 4th round. Terry McLaurin has an ADP at the end of the 4th. So you kind of need both of these players to fall if you're going to pair them together. So that one's going to be more unique in comparison to like Jalen Waddle, who goes in the middle of the 5th all the time. Now, Let's pull this over. Abraham says, what's your strategy in the draft for the Flock League this year? I do not know, to be honest with you. I'll, of course, share that with y'all whenever we officially have it set, but that's going to be something that is needing trial and error. Again, my draft strategy in these underdog tournaments has changed over time. The draft board's consistently changing as well. I'm going to be getting in. I promise you one thing. I will have done more drafts than every other person in the Flock League combined by the time we get there. I genuinely do think that these underdog drafts, getting in so many, make me a significantly better drafter in comparison to people who don't get them in, even in redraft leagues, just because we have so many reps from so many different areas of the board. Now, this team at 1 is getting absolutely killed with the grade because they reach so much on Tyler Warren. Super unique. Like, they have a very, very unique build. But taking Tyler Warren at 49 just killed their team. C Money says Davis doing 3,000 teams. I'm going to be honest, I'm not worried about Davis at all. I've been thinking about this as of late, and this is something you never say out loud. As like, nobody ever wants to root for the arrogant person, right? Nobody ever wants to watch somebody who's full of themselves. So I know the correct thing to maybe say is like, oh, I don't know, it's anybody's game, yada, yada, yada. I truly think if you look at my track record over the past, I think I'm the best fantasy football player in the world. I know that is an aggressive statement. I know it's probably not true, but I'm getting to the point where maybe I'm just delusional enough to believe I think I'm the best fantasy football player in the world. Okay. Alex says Team 8 looking amazing. Yeah, Team 8, St. Brown, Derrick Henry, Javonte, Kyron. They just got that incredible value with Kyron and incredible value with Devontae Adams. So, yeah, they are the only S team in this draft, and I honestly probably agree with the analyzer. And Dot Needed says the best fantasy football player in the world is actually him. But I know y'all think I'm joking, but I'm delusional enough I'm at the point where I think I am the best. I'm not going to say I'm the best to ever do it. But currently in the game as we speak, we're going to take Mekhi Lemon. Drafting Mekhi Lemon here. 1, we need a wide receiver. 2, he is my highest ranked receiver. 3, it will set us up the Jalen Hurts stack on the way back around. And there are 3 quarterbacks in this range that we should expect to go. And there are only 2 teams picking between our selections. And yes, maybe I'm the Phil Hellmuth of fantasy football. Possibly. RJ Harvey goes 72, so I'm sure that's not going to help this team's grade. Now, Cortland Sutton goes 73. We're going to take a quarterback here. Whether it's Hurts or Drake May, I don't really care. I prefer Jalen Hurts given the fact that we have the stack. This team here took Caleb to pair with Rome, and they only have 2 receivers, so I'd imagine they're not taking another receiver. God, we back up the statement of we are the best fantasy football player in the world with just an absolute masterclass of picks there, back to back. Mekhi limited 70, Jalen Hurts stacked up. So now, hell, we got an B plus grade currently in this draft. The 4th, 3rd best in here. We got 1, 2 teams ahead of us. We're tied with 2 others. But yeah, we have Jalen Hurts, quarterback, stacked with Mekhi Lemon. Running back, we have Jeremiah Love, Cam Scatterbo. Wide receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Mekhi Lemon. And we have the elite tight end with Trey McBride. The big worry that we have is the Arizona Cardinals offense being absolute garbage. That's what I'm worried about. Vinny says, fairly certain you're the second best in your own house. Yeah, maybe Vinny, who lives in the attic, is a better fantasy football player than me. Maybe I got to pipe down here. Okay. Yes, bold statement. Bold statement. But we have DK Metcalf at 80. I'll tell you one thing. I know there's probably some 12-year-old kid that would beg to differ. Honestly, I'll take it this far. Since 2014, right? I'm not going to include any time before then because, of course, there have been people playing fantasy football for 30 years. But since 2014, when I went full-blown 20 dynasty leagues year-round, I'm obsessed with this like nobody else is. I don't know if there's another person on this planet that has thought more about fantasy football or fantasy football has impacted their life as much as it has mine. Does that mean I'm the best? Of course not. But I think that is at least a fair statement to make. Now, Johan says, where did A.J. Brown go? A.J. Brown in this draft ended up going at pick 25. G Stokes says, is it just me or Dowdle have a higher ceiling and Warren has the higher floor? So obviously Rico Dowdle showed us a couple weeks at the middle stretch of last season in which his ceiling did look like something that we've never seen from Jaylen Warren. But with that in mind, I would say from a season-long perspective, I don't know if I'd stand by Dowdle having a higher ceiling just because we saw him go nuclear for 2 weeks. Because we do also have to factor in that Dowdle doesn't have the receiving skill set that Jaylen Warren does. Okay. Now, we have Harold Faninoff 91, Sam Laporta 92. And we are about to be on the clock again. My highest ranked player is Michael Wilson. Highest ranked according to ADP is Kyle Monangai. We are going to go Michael Wilson here because we already have McBride. We already have Jeremiah Love. If this team has any shot or wants any chance to turn $5 into $100,000, what does it need? What it needs is the Arizona Cardinals not to be horrendous, which they're probably going to be very bad. Don't get me wrong. But if they can do anything like they did at the end of last season, I think this team has a shot. Okay. Now, Kyle Monangai goes off the board at 96. The question comes down to, will we take an unstacked quarterback here? Like, is there any advantage in taking an unstacked Jackson Dart? Because the next time we're going to be on the clock, there aren't going to be any exciting QBs. Y'all can tell I'm not drafting a ton of Blake Corum. So I think we're going to take an unstacked Jackson Dart instead. Which I really didn't have much Jackson Dart like 2 weeks ago, but we've been taking him a lot since he's been falling around 9 as of late. Which I'm assuming the reason why he has been falling is to do with the Neighbors injury. Okay. Now, Lee says Blake Corum's way too high. Yeah, in my opinion, I think people looking at the 50-50 backfield split quote that we have had about Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I know we've had like a ton of comments, people going like, oh, why is Kyron Williams going that high if he's going to split the backfield 50-50 with Blake Corum? I don't trust that that's going to happen. I think the usage is going to be much closer to what we saw last season. So I'm going to be aggressively targeting Kyron Williams at the more expensive cost of him going to like pick 41 in comparison to Blake Corum, who typically goes in the mid-90s. Okay. Now, let's pull this around. We have Pittman off the board at 104. And Pitts goes 105. I really do like the Kyle Pitts price. Like in general, I'm going to try to start getting more Kyle Pitts than what I've had. Okay. And then one thing that I want to see is let's check the exposures for the Hurts stack. So the field has Jalen Hurts and Mekhi Lemon on 1.7% of the teams. I am overweight these guys together. If you look at Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, that jumps to 3.2%. So almost there are twice as many teams that have stacked Jalen Hurts with Devonta Smith in comparison to Mekhi Lemon. And then with Dallas Goedert, 2.4%. So yeah, honestly, we are getting a stack here that also has some leverage over the rest of the field with Jalen Hurts and Mekhi Lemon together. Looking at our current optimal, it's surprising to see that based on where we took them, 3 quarterbacks still has the highest advanced, semi, and finals rates. I'm going to be honest, with quarterback prices this year, I'm probably going to ignore the tool. I'm probably only going 2 QBs, not 3. Running back 5 and 6 both look like they could be viable plays. Wide receivers 7 and 8 both look like they could be viable plays. And then tight end 2 and 3 both look like they could be okay. But I think, honestly, I'm going to lean for this team to be a 2 quarterback, 2 tight end build. And I think we may use that extra spot on a 6th RB. Okay, we'll pull this around. Aaron Jones off the board. We'll take Chris Rodriguez. I'm right in line with the market. I haven't gone overboard drafting him. The thought process with Rodriguez is he does have a pretty good shot to be the starting guy in Jacksonville. He will have a severely capped ceiling, though, just due to the fact that he's not going to catch the ball a ton. Okay. Now, Rachaad White goes 119. It is nice that you could literally just take Rachaad White and Ja'Cory Cross-Gameret together on the turn. Maids of Honor says, should you always take 4 quarterbacks in a super flex, or is 3 enough? I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. I do not draft in the super flex drafts on Underdog. And whenever I have drafted in the super flex drafts on Underdog, I've gotten crushed. So I don't know if I'm the one that you want to be asking. This team goes Jake Ferg. If you're looking at my rankings, my highest ranked player is going to be Casey Concepcion. We could use another wide receiver. Getting him here at 123 is just fine by me. Of course, I will acknowledge the fact that the Cleveland Browns currently project to be the worst offense in the league. And I don't think we should be going out of our way too often to take a ton of Cleveland options. Okay. Now we'll pull this over. We had that massive run of quarterbacks that went between our Jackson Dart pick and our next one, which is why, again, like, even though we didn't have a stack for Dart, I was okay going through and taking him, just knowing that we weren't going to get another quarterback making it back to us. Okay. Second person coming in telling me I got the Ruggs jersey. My friend, this is a Genty jersey. We're not rocking the Ruggs jersey, okay? Don't throw that on me. Don't put that on me. Colton says, is the combos tool new? Yeah, so we've had with the flockfantasy.com best ball extension the ability to look at your combos for a while, but now we also have the new portion of it, which is expected field combos. So you can see like the leverage that you can get over the rest of the field with this. But if you have the best ball extension from flockfantasy.com, you should just be able to see all that, my friend. Zach, I think I do have a Rashee Rice jersey. Could be wrong. Maids of Honor says, love the updates. Yeah, the dev team, shout out the dev team. They have been absolutely grinding the updates to the site. And I guess a lot of people like the updates that we've recently had because I don't know if we're allowed to say this. I don't know what is positive, what is negative to say, what I should be putting out in the public. But we are currently on track year over year. Flockfantasy.com is probably going to cross last month's June revenue number at this pace in the first 8 or 9 days of June this year. So this flockfantasy.com revenue is looking like it's going to be tripling to quadrupling year over year, which is obviously insane. And obviously because of y'all, and more importantly, to be honest with you, the dev team, because the devs are grinding every single freaking day. So shout out the dev team. Much, much appreciated. Okay. Francis says, watched your stream from 2 weeks ago where you went Rice, Jacobs, and Bucky. Oof. Well, in this draft, Bucky Irving went at pick 38. I'm in a slow $500 draft on Underdog, and I just got Bucky Irving at pick 54, and I was uncertain to take him there or take Quinshon Judkins instead. But this drafter here didn't care. They took Bucky at 38. Yeah, but shout out to the dev team. And obviously, shout out everybody here that's been supporting. And y'all are the reasons why we're able to do something crazy like do a $140,000 prize pool to the Flock League and have the fan competition where we fly one of y'all out to join the Flock League with us this year. My highest ranked player is going to be Travis Hunter. He falls past ADP, which never happens for us. So we'll take Travis Hunter here pretty easily. Okay. Now, Cam Ward goes 143. Again, if we're looking at the historical data, it is recommending 3, 5, 8, 2. So, like, if we had a crazy enough QB3 value falling to us, I guess we could go with it, but I'm probably not wanting to just be completely honest. I think my running back room of Jeremiah Love, Cam Scadaboo, Chris Rodriguez is weak enough where we probably should be taking 6 RBs. I'm going to draft Isaiah Pacheco here over Jonah Coleman. Even though I have Coleman ranked higher, and the thought process with this is, how did this team here get such a good score? Interesting that team at 4 jumped to being the best team in this draft. What exactly have they? Oh, they just got an incredible Daniel Jones value. But, oh yeah, anyway. So if you look at our current running backs, Cam Scadaboo coming off a pretty serious injury, there's a chance he starts slow. Jeremiah Love, rookie season, there's a chance that he starts slow. So when you're drafting Jonah Coleman, I'm never at the beginning of the year. The only appeal that we would have with Jonah Coleman is something happens to Dobbins or he expands his role in the second half of the season. So I'm not going to assume that Isaiah Pacheco's taking the David Montgomery role, because if that were to be the case, he would be going a lot higher in these drafts and be a lot higher in my rankings. But it is a possibility that he takes that role. Or it's also a possibility that we get a Gibbs injury before or early in the season, in which at that point Pacheco turns into a league winner, not really based on talent, but based on situation that he'd be stepping into. So right now, according to the draft assistant, we have the 3rd best team in this draft, which the draft assistant never tells us we have the best. Big Routes is the grading stop shown on my drafts. Any ideas? That happened to me earlier today, my friend. And what I did is I just had to do a hard refresh of the browser. And if that doesn't work for you, I would just remove the extension and add the extension back. It takes about 30 seconds and it fixes pretty much everything. What could possibly happen is when the devs push out an update, for whatever reason, Google Chrome didn't give you the latest one and you may just have to re-download, but typically you won't have to. Matthew, happy to see you. Says Pacheco seems like one of the only clear-cut handcuffs, period, but especially on a high-powered offense. Yeah, I guess you could say like a Brian Robinson clear-cut handcuff, right? I'm Tyrone Tracy. But they definitely wouldn't be stepping into the same type of role that Pacheco would have. Okay. Then he says, same thing happened to me. I did a refresh of the browser and it worked. Yeah, I think it's just because with the live grade specifically, and of course, if you actually are a developer, I'm going to sound like a monkey when I say this, I understand. But my guess would be it's just calling on the endpoints so often that, like, if they calls on the endpoints 1,000 times and one of the 1,000 times it fails, you may just have to refresh for it to get back. Okay, so Deebo Samuel goes 164. We do have the week 17 bring back with Trey Tucker. We have a lot of these Arizona guys, of course. So we could take Trey Tucker here, but he goes. Instead, we'll take Denzel. Actually, no, Brandon Ayuk is my highest ranked receiver. We will reach on Brandon Ayuk, and we'll see if we get Denzel Boston on the way back around. And maybe I am stupid to be taking Brandon Ayuk this high. I can 100% acknowledge the fact that it may be a horrendous call. So we definitely still want 8 wide receivers here for sure. So Flournoy, Denzel Boston both go. Baldwin says, kind of disappointing you would draft Jackson Dart regarding his recent controversy. Guess it shows where your priorities lie. Let's get it straight, ladies and gentlemen. For me, when I draft fantasy football teams, you will never, and I repeat, ever, and I stand by this, hear me talk politics and fantasy football together or make fantasy football decisions based on politics. Literally could not matter less to me. Not when I'm drafting a fantasy football team. Like, hell, we are so bad as fantasy football drafters that Josh Jacobs potentially strangled his girlfriend. And I'm going through and saying, instead of drafting him at the end of the second, I would draft him in the 4th now. That's how bad we are. So if we then try to draw the line and go, you know what? Domestic abuse, I'm dropping you 2 rounds. Politics, you're off my board. Be absolutely insane. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody cares about politics in fantasy football or on a fantasy football live stream. Okay. Now, we have Tank Bigsby off the board at 178, and dear God, the fiance got home, the dog's in the room, and there's a green screen behind me, so the dog's wanting out, but she may have to lay here with me. She's about to knock this over. She's going crazy. Okay. Let's pull this down. Tank Dell goes 180. And for us, we definitely need one more tight end and possibly 2 more running backs. Y'all are going to get to see the dog for the first time in a long time. Get ready for your minds to be blown, ladies and gentlemen. Voila. Hey, you want to come say hi to everybody before you get out of here? Come over here. You can come say hi. Come here before... I'll let you out if you come say hi to everybody. She just really wants to go see the lady. I know, baby girl. I know. There you go. She used to always lay under my desk during the streams, like all the time. But once I got the green screen, I can't really let her in the room just because when she wants out, it's such a pain. But it was storming really bad, and she was crying outside the door before I started the live stream, and the fiance wasn't home, so kind of had to let her in. Okay. Now, yes, the dog betrayed me for a woman. I'll be honest, the dog, at this moment, she goes back and forth, but as of right now, I think she likes the fiance more than she likes me. We are done drafting wide receivers. Let me just double check the math. Yeah, we're done at wide receiver. There's an argument that we should have maybe only taken 7. But we're going to take 2 running backs and a tight end. So the teams after us, Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferg, Tyler Warren, AJ Barner, they could both take tight ends. I guess we have the Eli Stowers stack. So let's take Emmett Johnson here as another handcuff running back at pick 190. And if we don't get one of the top 2 tight ends, which I do very easily prefer Cade Otton, Pat Frymuth over Eli Stowers, but getting Eli Stowers on a Jalen Hurts team wouldn't be a horrible play. Okay. Okay. Troy Franklin goes 192. Cade Otton, Frymuth, we'll just take Cade Otton. He's the bigger faller here. And neither of them have the same bye week with McBride. Again, if you're using the draft assistant, you'll see like the big bye conflict for your quarterbacks and tight ends. So that should help out with that, because y'all know I'm an idiot. I draft quarterbacks and tight ends with the same bye week all the time. And we'll queue up a 6th running back because we have Jeremiah Love, Cam Scadaboo, Chris Rodriguez, Isaiah Pacheco, Emmett Johnson. Some of these running backs at the bottom are literally going to be zeros. Like Emmett Johnson could be a straight up 0 and never see the field this year. Isaiah Pacheco could be a 0 and never see the field this year. So for me, I would prefer to have a 6 guy. And we'll queue up a bunch of these different names. We'll queue up Najee. We'll queue up Ollie Gordon. We'll queue up Adam Randall. And I will search and queue up Mixon here as well. But we have a bunch of RBs on this. And yeah, I think we can bounce to the next draft. I think it was a pretty damn good draft. I think it was, the uniqueness wasn't super good. Y'all can see this when we did the research at the very top. Like, not a super unique team, but we got a ton of ADP values. Is a really strong roster construction as well. But we knew it wasn't going to be unique when we used the combo tool as we drafted it. I mean, it's unique to a certain extent, but it's not like some crazy build that nobody else is going to be able to replicate, at least at the top. In the middle rounds, you can make that argument. But let's go ahead and get in another $5 puppy. Okay. We'll pull this down. And we get pick 4 in this one. So it's going to be a very similar team in terms of the structure at the top, at least from what I would expect. We should expect to take Puka Nacua at 4. It's typically who you're getting. Obviously, I would welcome if we had some craziness at the top. We ended up getting Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs, but highly, highly unlikely. Mr. Cranky says, Mason, do you prefer redraft or dynasty more so? The channel you're watching right now started off as a dynasty fantasy football channel. It was the first dynasty fantasy football YouTube channel of my knowledge, and I created it at the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. Back then, I was in love with dynasty to the extent I couldn't even imagine playing in a redraft league. Like, I wouldn't even understand why somebody would do it. Like, I started playing in dynasty leagues in 2014. I still played in dynasty and redraft back then. And then by the time probably 2017 rolled around, I was like dynasty exclusive through like 2020, like for that 3-4 year stretch. And I was obsessed with dynasty. But over the past few years, to be honest, especially since we started the Flock League, and now I have like a league that I am super invested into from a redraft perspective, I've actually swung on the other side of it where I think I prefer redraft over anything. Like, if you told me I only got to do one thing for the rest of my life, regular redraft fantasy football, best ball, or dynasty, I would choose redraft at this point. Obviously, if you told Mason that he would say that from 2019, he wouldn't believe you. But, and Mr. Ski says, I like redraft limited keepers, best of both worlds. I actually really stand by that. Like, the first way, like my little gateway into getting into dynasty was a 5-player keeper league on Yahoo. And by the time I was like fully dynasty pilled, I walked away with the thought process like, keeper leagues are garbage. Why would you ever do a keeper league? Just do a full-blown dynasty league if you're going to do it. But honestly, keeper leagues are the freaking best. They really are. Mr. Cranky says, I started off learning fantasy with redraft, and now I'm only in love with Dynasty. I think a lot of people are like that. Teresa, happy to see you, as always. Manuel's in this draft with us at 11. He starts with Ashton Genty first. Okay. Now, Derrick Henry goes 13. So let me see what the expected ownership of the field based off their ADPs and current drafts for this tournament will be with Derrick Henry and James Cook. I don't think there should be a ton of Derrick Henry, James Cook teams. Yeah, half of 1% of the field should have this start. So it should be a pretty unique one in comparison to like Genty Achan. You're at like 1.6%. So you should expect in the field there to be like triple the amount of Ashton Genty, Devon Achan starts in comparison to James Cook, Derrick Henry. But also with that, I do think that Ashton Genty, Devon Achan's a better start than James Cook, Derrick Henry for what it's worth. We got Braid in this draft with us at 6. Streets Goon in this draft with us at 7. Happy to have y'all. Okay. Amari and Hampton off 18. Kenneth Walker goes 19. My two highest ranked crap. My highest ranked name now is going to be Jeremiah Love, also top of ADP. This is the worst spot to be in. Like, let me just pull up. Puka Nacua and Jeremiah Love, I've drafted together in 1.8% of my teams. This is going to be the most common pairing that we could go for, though. If you wanted to reach on something a little more unique, we would go like Puka Nacua and Nico Collins. But we will get the chalk here through the first 2 rounds. We'll go with the more common start. Okay. We have Nico, George Pickens, A.J. Brown here. Yeah, A.J. Brown continuing to rise. Travis Etienne goes 25. This may be okay, never mind. I was going to say this may be a very similar draft to what we just had with the Jeremiah Love, Trey McBride pairing. My highest ranked names now are going to be Breece Hall, then Devonta Smith. So Devonta Smith is now my highest ranked name. ADP have Neighbors and Olave and Rashee Rice over him, but we will take Smith instead. I think we're going to see Neighbors continue to fall in these drafts, to be honest. Okay. Ullman says, still can't believe I got a Puka, Jeremiah Love, and Chase Brown start. That is incredible. I mean, right when these drafts first opened, right, you did have Jeremiah Love going in round 3, which is why, like, if y'all go back and rewind a month ago, y'all see that, like, my most drafted running back early when these drafts first opened was Jeremiah Love. As I was ranking him at like pick 24, 25, and he had an ADP of like 30. So we were just taking him every single time we had an early first at the 2-3 turn. But now, like, so I honestly thought I was going to be the Jeremiah Love guy and make an argument like, oh yeah, I understand that the recent rookie running backs have failed, but you got to go back in history to look at Barkley, go back in history to look at Zeke, yada, yada, yada. I thought I was going to be campaigning for Jeremiah Love in round 3, that this is the guy you need. But now that he goes at pick 21, I don't want to brand myself as the Jeremiah Love guy. Like, I don't think it's a super easy thing to do. Dr. Balini says, when you retire, you should calculate how many drafts you've completed. Well, we'll do that we'll do that in January, right? Because I think this will probably be our last year on YouTube and our last year drafting fantasy football teams. Because the expectation as of now, or at least how the script is written, and dear God, Neighbors falls down to pick 36. Let me see how many drafts have had Neighbors and James Cook together. That is insane. Come on, Tool. You can load. I believe in you. Josh Allen goes at 38. Yeah, only 0.2% of the fields have the combo of Neighbors and James Cook. Josh Allen at 38 is crazy. You also have the Week 17 game between the Dolphins and Bills, and that team has Achane. Oh, and I forgot Manuel. We actually have Team 11 in this live stream with us. I am incredibly jealous of your team. Your team is significantly better than mine, my friend. Chimichanga says you might end up with 20% Smith. Let me see how much Smith I've had so far. Devonta Smith, I've drafted in 12% of drafts so far. Obviously, we take him in this one, so that percentage will be a little bit higher. Okay. Josh Jacobs goes 42. Evans goes 43. My highest ranked players are Henderson and Waddle. I'm going to ignore my rankings, though. We're going to take Luther Burden. Here's the thing. I'm probably going to be underweight Luther Burden this year. Like, I would expect to have him in 3.5% of my drafts. I can't be 0% Luther Burden because there is a world in which this dude just goes absolutely nuclear. And the way that his ADP is trending, if we don't take him when he falls to pick 45 and beyond, we will have 0% of him. So I think we'll snag Luther Burden here. This is going to give us a ton of options at quarterback in round 6. We'll have both the option to go with Jalen Hurts as well as the option to go with Caleb Williams. Okay. JMO goes pick 50. Our highest ranked player is... God dang, it's spazzing on us. Our highest ranked player is Bucky. We're going to take him. I know people are going to hate this. And I understand there is a ton of risk in taking Bucky Irving at pick 52. And there's a lot more security in drafting David Montgomery. So I will not fault anybody at all for taking David Montgomery instead. And Jeff says, why is this your last year? You never finished telling us. I completely forgot why, to tell you all why. So the reason why this is going to be my last year on YouTube and my last year drafting fantasy football teams is I'm going to be winning Best Ball Mania this year. So I'll have that cool extra $2 million hit in the bank account. And at that point, I've told myself, you know what? You've done everything there is to do. You've already labeled yourself as the best fantasy football drafter on the planet. You've proven it year over year. Why are we still doing this? It's time to say deuces. So if I don't win Best Ball Mania on Underdog, if I don't win the 2 million, maybe you get to see me for one more year. But as of right now, the script reads Mason wins Best Ball Mania in 2026 and rides off into the sunset. And hell, here's what I'll do. Maybe I stick around in the flock league. And maybe we just throw that $2 million that we'll win from Best Ball Mania to first place in the flock league. Okay. Now, Ravi says, wouldn't it be better for you and your business if you stream after winning BBM? Here's what the stream will be after I win Best Ball Mania. I will walk through that door behind me. I will have a gold chain and I'll look like the Monopoly man. I'll be wearing a monocle. I'll have a suit on. I'll have a cane. I'll strut around, hit the gritty, say my goodbyes, say my thank yous. And it'll be, obviously I'm joking. Yes. If I win Best Ball Mania, which the probability of that happening, slim to none. I've made the finals a couple times. I've gotten 16th place before, but we've been even lucky for that to happen. I would, of course, still be live streaming every day. I would just have an iced out grill. Mr. Ski says, I think if a fan wins Best Ball Mania, real quick. So we have both of these quarterback options with Caleb and Hurts. I honestly have Jalen Hurts ranked ahead of Caleb Williams, so we're going to take Jalen Hurts. But Mr. Ski says, I think if a fan wins Best Ball Mania or any of the comps, really, they should get an auto fan spot for the Flock League. I'll say this. If a fan wins Best Ball Mania, they will have an automatic bid to be a finalist in the Flock League auditions. Okay. Now we have Drake May off the board, 70. Marv goes 71. What would be super interesting is if Caleb ends up making it back to us at 76. Do we try to double tap the quarterback position here at 69 and 76? It's something that we've very rarely done. Whenever we've done it, it hasn't really worked that well. But Caleb does go off the board at 73, probably saving us from ourselves. And I was just put into this very similar situation earlier today, where it's like, hey, Parker Washington's the big time faller past ADP. Maybe you want to take Parker Washington and have a unique build, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing about doing that. That would mean I would have to draft Parker Washington, which doesn't appeal to me. So we'll take Alec Pierce instead, who's my highest ranked wide receiver. Okay, we'll move this around. And this is a pretty fierce draft room. There isn't anybody in this room that has a crazy grade. Now, I do want to give a shout. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit the like button on this live stream. I am live streaming every single day until Christmas. Until the season, I'm going to be doing these Underdog basketball drafts with you. From season kickoff to Christmas, I'm going to be answering your fantasy football questions every single night in the stream. But regardless, I'm a simple man. All I ask is you hit the like button. And also you buy a subscription on Flock Fantasy. Sign up for Underdog Fantasy with code Flock. Obviously, I ask a lot from y'all, but that was kind of a joke. Not really a joke. Go sign up for flockfantasy.com. Best tools in the industry, not even remotely close. And at the lowest cost, use code Flock and I'll be answering your questions for free on live streams. And also sign up to Underdog Fantasy using code Flock. Okay, Mango Muffin says, Parker Washington's ceiling is similar to Parker Washington's ceiling. I don't exactly know what that means, but yes. Robbie says, Mason, why do you limit yourself to only 3 drafts today? We'll get in a 4th draft tonight if we hit 450 likes in the stream. Okay. Desire says, just want to confirm the dates for Austin so I can book flights. I also won't be entering into the Flock League. My guy, why? Why are you not entering in the Flock League auditions? That is disappointing. RJ Harvey off the board at 87. Mr. Ski says, does Underdog ever share the draft type of winners? Like, are past winners winning in quick drafts or slow drafts more? I don't know, to be honest with you. I have won 2 Underdog drafts, and one of them was a fast draft that I won for $100,000 that I actually drafted that team on this live stream. And I've also won $20,000 in a slow draft on Underdog. Okay, we'll move this back. So highest ranked players, Patrick Mahomes. Second highest ranked is Michael Wilson. Then it's Kyle Monangai. Mahomes goes. I honestly was probably going to take an unstacked Mahomes. F it. We're going to take Michael Wilson with this team. He's my highest ranked name. I drafted a ton of him last year. He won us a lot of money last year. Obviously, it's a much more expensive cost, and it's much tougher to justify with how bad the Arizona Cardinals offense is going to be. But here's the thing. We already drafted Jeremiah Love. So if this team wants to have any chance of turning $5 into $100,000, the Arizona Cardinals kind of need a surprise to the upside. Harold Fannin goes 97. Bo Nix goes 98. Kyle Pitts off the board. So back-to-back drafts, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to be taking an unstacked Jackson Dart. Now, what a smart person probably does here instead is a smart person goes, you know what? I have Puka Nacua. Let me take my stack. Let me get Matthew Stafford. My thing is, I think we have rushing upside from Dart where it's okay to have him unstacked. And there is an outside chance that Neighbors misses so much of the season that his advance rate's super low to the tournament. And you could get like a big Dart Neighbors week together, but very few tournament teams in weeks 15, 16 have Neighbors. So like you can get away with having Dart by himself, if that makes sense. But in reality, I'm just kind of sitting here doing mental gymnastics to try to justify it. Okay. And dear God, we have 1,000 people watching this right now, which is insane. Y'all are freaking nuts. Brandon says, when I win Best Ball Mania, I'm going to start a rival to the Flock League. Probably call it the Gaggle League or the Brood League. Well, I'll be a fan. I'll be a viewer, my friend. Okay. Michael Pittman goes 106. Mr. Shadow says Liam in the Flock League would be great. Here's a general rule of thumb, because I know a lot of people reach out to me and go, we want this person in the Flock League. We want this person in the Flock League. Anybody you want in the league, I wouldn't be telling me. I would be telling them. Go to their comment section. Go to their live streams and say, you should join the Flock League. That's way more likely to get them in the Flock League rather than you telling me you want them in it. Okay. Now, the best teams graded out so far are the teams at 5 and 10 in this draft. My preferred team out of them is this team at 10. This team at 10 kind of looks nuts. They have the Lamar Flowers stack. They have Lamb, Javonte, Barkley. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a very well-balanced team as well. KC Concepcion goes 113. Let me look at the math of how bad it would be for us to take another quarterback here. Because if Stafford makes it this far past ADP on a team in which we have Puka, I think we can justify it. So most teams, historically, based on what we have done so far, would only draft 2 QBs. They would have a slightly higher advance rate, a higher semis, and a higher finals. But Stafford does indeed go off the board. Now, my next highest ranked player is going to be Chris Rodriguez, who will take us our running back 3 here. Okay. Now we'll pull this around. Wandale off 118. Rashad White, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Donita says 5 and sniping you all draft. Yeah, it's been brutal having to draft next to Team 5. Goff goes. Our highest ranked player is Kittle. I generally don't want to be drafting Kittle a ton coming off the torn Achilles. However, we don't have a tight end. He's our highest ranked player. We have Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith and George Kittle's the Week 17 bring back. And this tournament has a massive Week 17 final. So we will take Kittle based on all those reasons. And let's swing this back down. Desire Best says, do you have those dates though? Do you mind asking me in a week or two? Because as of right now, 90% sure we are doing Austin. But there is a 1%, like, again, I'm delusional enough to believe that we could get somebody crazy to join the Flock League. Like somebody massive, somebody like Ludwig, somebody like Jinxie, somebody that would be incredible in it. And that 1% delusion has me thinking that, like, again, in that instance in which we get somebody like Jinxie, who does watch this channel, we just got to convince him to join, we would be flying to Florida to do it there. So I don't want to tell anybody, like, hey, this is the exact date for the meetup, and this is the exact place for it. Because if we have like a massive creator that wants to be in the Flock League, we're moving the operation wherever they need to be, you know. So we're eventually going to have to lock it in soon. So if I can give you those official dates in the official place in like 2 weeks, that'd be great. Okay, because we have 2 spots right now in the Flock League. 1, we have the dedicated fan slot. And then 2, we have what's called the wild card slot. So maybe it's a content creator. Maybe it's we get 2 fans in the league. Okay. But like Shahid goes 133. This team at 12 is super interesting. Okay. Cam Ward off 134. Dot Needed says, making my vid and posting it this weekend. Excited to see it, my friend. And when anybody makes their audition video, please let me know. As I'm going on every platform and searching 2026 Flock League audition every day. But I really want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so we're going to be on the clock again. Dallas Goedert obviously would be great for us, where we do need another tight end, and at the same time, we have the Jalen Hurts stack. Omar off 139. Here's the thing. Mark Andrews makes it 14 picks past ADP. We're just going to take the ADP value. Like, there's a chance Goddard makes it back to us. There's no chance that Andrews does. Let me look at the math for the team. Running back 5, 6, both in play. Wide receivers 7, 8, both in play. Tight ends, we need to go 3. And then because what looks like is in the last draft, where our quarterback build was literally identical, where we had Jalen Hurts and Jackson Dart, it told us to go with a third quarterback as the recommendation. But I guess the reason it's not telling us to go with the third quarterback in this one is because we didn't take Trey McBride. So instead, we need the third tight end. Okay. Zach says, someone followed me on IG, made an account called 2026 Flock League Audition. Well, my friend, they upload. So I saw somebody. Yeah, I'll pull up a TikTok and show y'all what somebody uploaded today that I thought was a little crazy. Here's the thing. At some point, we are going to ignore the optimal if we get this type of faller. Malik Willis, 18 picks past ADP. We're just going to take him. We'll take him. It'll be a little bit more of a unique team. You'll see the updated recommendation once we take the third quarterback is now we can't afford the 8th wide receiver. Now we're only taking 7. But we'll snag Malik Willis, and based on him having the rushing upside, I'm fine having him unstacked. But I reposted something on TikTok of somebody's audition that they submitted. There have been a couple. He's actually submitting a couple of them. This guy went into like a Target, stood on the counter, and like yelled a motivational speech. And then he also made like a skit reenacting all the people from the Flock League. Okay. So the hope, of course, once we take Malik Willis is we just have a ridiculous amount of QBs off the board. Like, we want every starting quarterback off the board afterwards. Ness says, I am listening to this at the casino and just won $1,200 on a slot machine. That is awesome. Congrats, my friend. I've only done slot machines twice. Once I turned 18 and my dad took me to an Oklahoma Indian casino, Native American casino. I apologize. We did slot machines then. And then this past year, I went skiing with Sal, his fiance, and a group of friends. And my fiance and I went. And Sal sat at the slot machine and lost like $100. And my fiance sat down and he was like spinning it for like 10 minutes. And we were all just standing at like one slot machine watching whoever was going. And then my fiance sat down and spun it like 2 times and then immediately won $600. Like off of like 2 $5 spins after Sal had been there for like 10, 15 minutes. It was pretty funny. Now Ayuk goes 162. We're on the clock again. I'm not taking Antonio Williams. I am not a fan, to say the least. And y'all know my highest ranked player, I believe, is going to be Spears. Yeah, Spears is my highest ranked name. We could go with the tight end here, but we also need a running back. Again, we're going to have 5 running backs, and 2 of them have massive question marks. Okay. Snyder says, how does it work? Is it one video or multiple clips? You can do either one. I would recommend going quality over quantity, but you can upload as many Flock League audition clips as you want. And then obviously, if there's a world in which the comments all of a sudden are rooting on you, I mean, rooting for you to win, that would help you if you can pull that off. Okay, so you can go Tank Bigsby, pair him up with the Philadelphia stack we have and go, what happens if Barkley goes down, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take Deebo Samuel. Deebo actually had a respectable season last year, surprisingly enough, when you look back on it. Like, if he were to come close to repeating what he just did this past season, it's going to be a pretty decent pick. But the reason our team's grading out well right now is structurally, it's pretty damn good from an advancement perspective. We've gotten a ton of ADP value on the team. Like, we really haven't had to reach for any of our names. The one thing holding it back is it's a pretty common start. You'll see like a lot of Puka, Jeremiah Love, Devonta Smith pairings. Like, it's not the most unique start in the world. And then again, I showed y'all with the combo tool earlier in the stream that you actually do have more often than not the Jalen Hurts team stacked with Devonta Smith rather than Mekhi Lemon. So our stack being the chalk stack as well is not helping. Okay. Now, Ness says, thank you. I was down $50 and a $10 spin has me able to get the Flock tool winning. Hashtag winning, my friend. Congrats again. And yeah, once my fiance won like the $500-600, I was like, all right, cash out. Let's go get the cash. She did. And then, again, I don't know if this is controlling. I don't know if this is a bad thing to say, a bad thing to do. But, I mean, obviously it's our money, yada, yada, yada. But I was like, okay, here's the game plan. Let's put aside the $500. You got $50, do everything you want with the $50. Desire Best was at a Morgan Wallen concert on Saturday. Hell yeah, send some pics, my friend. Vinny says our money. Well, let's be honest. I gave her the money for the slots. She won it. So I'd assume at that point, it's ours. It's a collection. Calvin Ridley off 182. Maids of Honor, have a good night, my friend. Braden says C+ is false on my draft at 6. Right now, it has you as a B- for me. We have JT, Walker, Rice, Evans. Yeah, I mean, you only have 3 receivers through the first 10 rounds. So, I mean, obviously it could be different this year. but historically not ideal. All right, let's pull this around. We need one more running back, one more receiver, one more tight ends. I think Frymuth is so much better of a pick than almost anybody else on the board. We're just going to take Frymuth. Brandon says, do what you want with the $50 and let's take the other 500 and enter a big dog, pretty much. Okay. Malik Washington, 190. Emmett Johnson goes 191. Darnell Mooney, 192. Again, I think you can look at the Darnell Mooney stuff and take it a couple different ways. One thing you could say is like, oh, okay, and we're running back wide receiver with our next two picks. What we're going to do here is we're going to take Chris Bell for the Malik Willis stack. So we at least have Willis stack with something. And then running back, we'll queue up some random names here. Chris Brooks still available. Throw Jordan James in here. Throw Jaden Blue in here. Throw Najee, DJ Giddens. So we have a bunch of Barbies. So we'll end up getting one of them. But I think it was a pretty decent draft. Now, spam the chat. Do y'all want us to do another puppy or do you want us to do a Best Ball Mania? Puppy or Best Ball Mania? JCM, happy to see you, my guy. I saw the, I haven't caught a stream for over a year. I didn't see the username because OBS was blocking it. And that is a name. That is exciting to see. You got puppy, 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 puppy. We only have a few BBMs, but mainly people are saying puppy. So we will get in another $5 puppy draft. Again, I'm assuming we're going to be doing a ton of these over the next few weeks. This is going to be the main thing that we probably stick with. Until y'all get tired of them and until y'all want us to do something different. But the $5 drafts are just freaking perfect for practice. And they're a ton of fun. Okay. Pull this around. And let me know if you made it in this draft with us. I know we have Vinny in this draft with us at 11. Desire Best is in here at 9. Farmo's in at 2. Mile High's in at 12. Slim's in this draft with us at 7. And crap, I'm going to be in trouble. Okay, I'm going to be in trouble. Looks like we're doing another draft after this if we had 100 more likes, which is probably likely. And I cannot say this too loud because she would hear, but I told the lady I would be done at 10:30 and we could watch our show. And if we do another draft after this, we're not going to be done for over an hour. So try to make your picks fast. Now, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, both off the board. We'll see if we get a fall of one of the top 5 guys. I would assume that we don't. But obviously, I'll know for me, I would prefer to get Chase, JSN, Puka. It just never happens. The only guy that you would see is JSN making it here. Okay. We're not going to take JT. We'll take Amonra. I mean, JT and McCaffrey have been falling in some of these drafts. So, like, even though I never take JT at sticks, I still have him at 4.5% of drafts. Even though I never take McCaffrey 7, I still have him in 3.6% of drafts. So we're not hard zeros on these players. Okay. JCM says, Mason, do you still have dinner every night with Bijan, your best friend, and your gym bro? Okay. This is hard to admit. This is hard to divulge, but Bijan and I are currently fighting. I know. It's going to shock a lot of people, but, and hell, I mean, we obviously have so many good moments together, Mr. Bijan Robinson and I. Like, here's one great moment from us, chopping it up. BFFs. No, I mean, we are on top of the world here at this moment, right? He was as happy for me as I was for him. Here's us training together, right? I mean, if y'all don't know, he comes from me. As you can tell, I mog Bijan Robinson. People tell me I'm a short king. If I'm a short king, what does that make Bijan? Medium height king. Here's us mogging him at the gym, rocking Underdog, of course, Underdog hat, Underdog shirt. And we've had a bunch of good moments together, bunch of laughs, bunch of cries. He's been there for me when I've needed him. I've been there for him when he's needed me. But I put out our running back rankings video earlier this year. And he saw that I had Jahmyr Gibbs inside the same tier as him, and he threw a fit, which I can't hang out with people that are that immature. Like, grow up, my guy. It's only business. It's nothing personal. You know I don't have a relationship with Jahmyr like I have a relationship with you. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. At least it's not that big of a deal to me. But he is making it some massive, massive deal. So looking at our options, my highest ranked player is Chase Brown. And if we look at the exposures with the field, Chase Brown and Amon-Ra are only going to be in 1.1% of drafts. And here's how you can get a lot of leverage over the field. If you reach on Bowers with an Amon-Ra St. Brown team, only 0.3% of teams are going to have that combo. If you reach on a Jeremiah Love with an Amon-Ra St. Brown, only 0.1% of drafts are going to have that combo. In comparison to, like, we take Chase Brown and Amon-Ra, who are at 1.1%. Obviously, like Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry with them are much higher. Like, you can get a ton of leverage over the field. Okay. And let's pull this around. We saw Desire Best go Lamb and Pickens here. What's that combo? Because Lamb and Pickens go on completely different sides of the board early as well. 0.3% of drafts. In comparison to, like, guys that Lamb typically goes with, say such as Amari and Hampton, where they're in 1.2% of drafts. So, like, 4 times less. Okay. Travis Etienne off 27. We have our ranks pulled up. McBride goes 29. Obviously, I would have taken him. We're going to take Devonta Smith or Josh Allen, whoever falls. Rashee Rice goes. I have Devonta Smith ranked ahead of Josh Allen. We will snag him. Okay. And Bajmeet says, what show is she forcing our hero to watch, Whip Bro? Let's be real. She is an absolute trooper to agree. Okay, I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is definitely too much TMI. So, obviously, I've been with Lady Flock for a long, long time, right? We started dating in 2019 in college. And I didn't start live streaming on YouTube until 2020. So before then, it was just like a fun little hobby thing that I always said, I do it for fun. It will never make money. It will never be anything serious. Then I started live streaming. Then I started making enough money for it to be a job. And I said, I'm going to live stream every single day so I can make this a job. Again, understandably so. Lady Flock wasn't the most receptive and wasn't the most excited when I said senior year of college. Yeah, I'm done hanging out with everybody. I'm going to be live streaming every single night answering fantasy football questions. And no, I can't take a single day off because I told everybody I would live stream every single day. She didn't love that. How I sold it to her is, let me do it now so I can make this a real job and I won't have to do it in the future. Then the next year came by and I said, hey, just one more year of me live streaming every single day. This is probably going to be the last one. I just got to do it one more time. Then another year came by, 2022. Then another year came by, 2023. Then another year came by, 2024. Another year came by, 2025. Another year came by, 2026. At this point, she's kind of got the gist. I'm doing this every day until the day I die. Our highest ranked players, Cam Scattaboo, will take them. So she is an absolute trooper to put up with it. And let me pull this. And we got Paul Southworth, long-time member of the flock. Hell yes. In the OG Group Me from 2019. Hell yes. Happy to see you, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. That was back when this was only a Dynasty channel, and I was recording videos in my closet with nothing. I keep on forgetting to go to my email to check Desire Best is Morgan Wallen photos. They didn't pop up my email. What email did you send them to, my friend? But yeah, oh yeah, so no, the other thing I was going to show y'all is the show we're watching right now, which is honestly pretty good. It's called Widow's Bay on Apple. It's kind of like feels more like a network TV show than like a true streaming show. It's because like every episode has an introduction, rising action, climax, conclusion, you know, like a regular sitcom would. Like every episode, you can watch any random episode and it will have a story for you. Whereas like a traditional streamer, you can't just watch a random episode, right? My highest ranked player is going to be Jadarian Price. And honestly, F it. Let's reach on him. But obviously Widow's Bay has it has a general long arching storyline that fits in the sitcom like all sitcoms do. But it's not just funny. It's like a little bit of like a horror element too. And the first episode we watched, I was like, I don't know if this is that good. But every episode we've watched since, it's gotten better and better and better. So I'm honestly kind of want to watch an episode tonight. So hopefully she'll stay up, even if I got to do a fourth draft. But, oh yeah, we got some people in the chat watching it as well. Yeah, we're not on episode 8 yet. We've probably watched 4 episodes or so. But oh no, we watched 5 episodes. We should be on episode 6, I think, tonight. But yes, I've seen Severance. We watched that last year, and yes, Severance was incredible. I thought the season 1 ending of Severance was one of the best like season endings I've ever seen. And ooh, I'm surprised. Let me refresh. Do we really have this garbage of a ranking on the site? Yeah, we do have a pretty garbage ranking. We have a unique team that we've drafted. We have an okay structure, but we've been reaching on every single one of our picks, and we have yet to get a decent value. So every single pick that we have made, we've reached on. Okay, Chuba Hubbard goes 84. In terms of QB stacks, I mean, when in doubt, we can grab Jalen Hurts with Devonta Smith like we just did. We just keep on spamming Jalen Hurts over and over and over again. Again, if you look at my rankings, I have Daniels the highest ranked player. Jalen Hurts is the second highest ranked name. But we do have the Devonta Smith stack. So we're going to reach on Jalen Hurts. But again, we are just going to have, from a value perspective with this team, a garbage team because we are reaching on every single player. Reagan says, does the uniqueness percentage only account for like the first 5 picks? The uniqueness percentage of your team is accounting for the first 5 picks, and it's accounting for your stacks as well. So, but it's not looking so much in the end of the draft or just the random middle rounds. Okay, we do need another receiver, right? We only have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Devonta Smith at wide receiver. Currently, running back, we have Chase Brown, Cam Scatterbu, as well as Jadarian Price. Metcalf off 75. May goes 76. I would have taken an unstacked May if he would have made it to us at 78. I don't think I'll take an unstacked Caleb Williams, though. Especially since Caleb, we see the bye conflicts with Jalen Hurts as well. So we're going to actually go with Cortland Sutton instead. We need a receiver. The tough spot of taking Sutton here is he has, one, we just continue to reach on every single pick we make. It's been brutal having to draft against y'all. Y'all are giving us no values at all. And two, at the same time, he has the week 10 bye, which is the same bye week that Jalen Hurts has. So typically when we draft Jalen Hurts, we're only wanted to have to take 2 QBs. But Bo Nix may not be the most exciting option to take if he has the same bye week as Hurts. Because if we're only wanting to take 2 quarterbacks, then that kind of does box us in that range. Okay. Dak Prescott off the board. Tucker Kraft goes 83. Herbert 84. I need to get more Justin Herbert exposure. As somebody who drafts a lot of Quentin Johnston, like the Quentin Johnston, Justin Herbert pairing at 84, 85 looks very good, even if obviously you're having to bring up Quentin Johnston much higher than where he typically gets drafted. Monkey Punch says, how do you get the live draft grades next to players' names? It's not going to show up until after the first 5 rounds. And you are going to have to go into your settings of the draft extension to turn it on. So if you go into the settings, you'll see the draft board, duck grades. You can turn it on and turn it off. Because we don't want that to be like a thing that you have to have on if you have the extension. Because I know some people will like it and some people probably think it's lame and annoying. Now, Mahomes goes off 89. Again, we're not dying for a quarterback here based on what we have. We have no Lawrence Stacks. My highest ranked name is going to be Michael Wilson. And we just find ourselves taking this dude over and over and over again. So we'll take Michael Wilson at 91. Let's pull up the Michael Wilson profile, right? Because I drafted a ton of Michael Wilson last year. We won a ton of money because of it. But I don't feel nearly as good with the elevated cost. And let's show why. But I mean, I keep on drafting this dude. So what the hell am I saying? All right, let's pull this up. So 26-year-old wide receiver Michael Wilson did absolutely nothing for the entirety of his NFL career, essentially. 2023, 1 game with over 20 fantasy points. 2024, 0 games with over 15 fantasy points. 2025, the first 10 weeks, he had 0 games with 10 or more points. Looked completely unusable. I thought I had wasted a bunch of round, like 17 picks on the dude last year, until he goes nuclear in the second half of the season. But what does that align with? That aligns with a couple different things. Marvin Harrison getting injured, where you can see the same overlay with the Harrison weeks and the Michael Wilson weeks, right? These Michael Wilson explosion games were without Marvin Harrison, which is interesting to note. The other thing is it took Jacoby Brissett to have an insane amount of passing volume. Look at the passing yards per game that Brissett had during this stretch. Like, this dude was coming out and giving you like almost 300 passing yards per contest during it. So we're going to take Harold Fannin at tight end. So with Michael Wilson, he has a couple different things working against him. One, you're going to see now that the regression's probably going to be hitting for the Arizona Cardinals offense. You're not going to get nearly as much passing volume from Jacoby Brissett. And a big reason for that is, one, you are going to see just this team finally be able to run the ball when they don't have every single running back on their team injured. And two, Marvin Harrison's going to come in and Marvin Harrison's going to start taking targets again. So there are red flags with Michael. And three, also, this projects to be one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So there are a ton of red flags with Michael Wilson, which is why he is being drafted as, right now, the wide receiver 43 in these drafts. But I'll also call a spade a spade. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 43 currently in drafts. And if I go through and pull up his flockfantasy.com player card and look at what he did in the second half of the season, he was the wide receiver 4 in points per game at 18.5. So he broke out to be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy. And now you're getting to draft him as a wide receiver 4, despite him only being 26 years old. So there are some positives, a whole lot of negatives. I don't know where the price should end up being. This does seem fine, though, because if you compare Josh Downs, for instance, Downs has never been viable in fantasy. And I know somebody's going to get mad at me for saying that, but let me just pull up the proof for you, where we can see Josh Downs over the past 3 years of his NFL career: wide receiver 56 in points per game, wide receiver 31, wide receiver 49. Like, his situation got better from last year to this year. Well, Michael Wilson's situation got worse. When Michael Wilson's going from like a top 5 finish to get worse, and Josh Downs going from wide receiver 56 to get better. So how much better is one going to get? How much worse is one going to get? So it is tough. Okay. Now Kyle Pitts goes 112. Goff off at 111. I was hoping that we were going to get Jared Goff to make it back to us with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay. I mean, we've done this in every single freaking draft tonight. Okay, no, Chris Rodriguez is indeed gone. My highest ranked non-quarterback is going to be KC Concepcion. We just took Harold Fannin. So let's add another player from the worst offense in the league. Maybe we go, oh, no Myles Garrett. You're going to see this team have to throw the ball more. They're going to have to throw the ball a ton in the first place. BZ Jelly says, is Marvin Harrison a breakout candidate this year? He's a candidate. Will he do it? Probably not. So far, in terms of my allocation of drafting Marv versus Michael Wilson coming into tonight, I had a 9.8% of my drafts, but I just took him in 3 drafts straight, so that's probably going to jump up closer to 12%. Actually, probably closer to like 12.5%, 13%. So say I have like 12.5%, 13% Michael Wilson. And Marv I have in 9.8%. So it's not like I'm fading Marv, and this is going to fall because I haven't taken any drafts tonight once we re-up. Resync. So we'll have, 13% Michael Wilson and like 8% Marvin Harrison. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt goes 123. Let's pull this around. Baker Mayfield off 124. My highest ranked player is Kittle. I don't want to take him again with the torn Achilles, but we need a tight end. We have the week 17 stuff with the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's snag him. Okay. I'm going to be honest with y'all. While we are only 45 likes away from hitting another draft after this, I would rather watch the show with a lady since I didn't last night. So I'm going to be a man of my word. I will honor it. If we hit 450 likes on the stream tonight, which I did not expect nearly this many people to come out, I'm going to be honest, kind of set that goal, not thinking we're going to hit it. I'll be a man of my word if we do hit it. But if y'all could dislike the live stream instead, that maybe would be preferred. Okay. Now, Travis Hunter off the board, 129. Obviously, y'all know, I'm looking at Hunter on the way back whenever he makes it. Gadsden off 133. Dear God. No, that was, I guess, me telling y'all to dislike the live stream was the quickest way to ever get y'all to hit the like button. So, note to self. From now on, tell people to dislike it. Isaiah Likely off 136. I mean, we'll rip the third tight end here, of course, when we have the Hurts double. Packers guy says, are any players that you are low weighted on that you are trying to make a diligent effort to draft more? Yes, for sure. I will try to give you that list in 1 second. We're going to take Malik Willis here, though. We don't have any of the Miami stacks, but he falls 9 picks past ADP. We need another quarterback, and Miami options are available later. Let me look at the draft board here at the top real quick and try to see names that we are underweight that I specifically want to make sure that we have more of. Round 1, we are underweight Taylor McCaffrey. I'm okay not having a ton of them. I would say Ashton Genty is probably the name that I want more of, which we have not taken much Ashton Genty so far this year. How much do I have? Never mind. I have him at 8.9% of drafts. I'm fine with that. Hampton, Barkley, James Cook, George Pickens, London, A.J. Brown, Chase Brown. Crazy to see the A.J. Brown new cost. Okay. Dot Needed says, if you get 500, 2 more drafts, no way in hell I can do that. I'm sorry. No. We're only getting 1 more draft in after tonight. It looks like we are getting another draft coming, though. Let's see. Round 2, I have a lot of Bowers. I have a decent amount of Nico. Nico has the tough playoff schedule. I have a lot of Kyron. Decent amount of Josh Allen. The one guy that I'm probably underweight that I think could be bad for us is Igbuka. Yeah, I have Igbuka in 5.4% of drafts, and I probably want to get that closer to 8.5% because I could very easily see Igbuka crushing us. If we get 1,000 likes, I'll do 2 more drafts after this, but that's not happening, my friend. So we have the massive Cam Ward fall. Looking at the math for us, it does skew heavy to 2 QBs. But when we get this big of a fall in ADP, I'm just going to go ahead and take the ADP value. Like, again, looking at the math with the extension, we could see that 2 and 3 quarterbacks were on the table. 7 and 8 wide receivers are on the table. 5 running backs is pretty much a lock based on what we've done. So instead of going with the 2 quarterbacks and 8 wide receivers, which kind of seemed like plan A, once we got the big Cam Ward value, instead we'll go through and we will snag the 3rd quarterback option. And now quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts stacked with Devonta Smith. We have the Kittle bring back. We have an unstacked Malik Willis, an unstacked Cam Ward. Running back, we have Chase Brown, Cam Scatterbo, Jadarian Price. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, Cortland Sutton, Michael Wilson, Casey Concepcion. And then tight end, we have the combo of Harold Fannin and George Kittle. Okay. Ooh, Desire Best says he just sent some stuff to the email. Let me check this out, my friend. That is awesome. Oh, you had good seats. These are the Zaire's best. Will that focus? Yeah, right there. Tickets for the Morgan Wallen concert. I'm jealous, my friend. Yeah, you were up real close. How was it? Because I went and saw him in Dallas, and I thought it was incredible. Okay, we're about to be on the clock again. My highest ranked name's Juwan Johnson. It says he has a bye conflict, but we're drafting 3 tight ends, so that's not going to be a super big concern for us. So we'll just go ahead and take him as our 3rd tight end here. So our best is the best. I'm freaking jealous. I almost went, because I love the new album, of course. And last year when we did our road trip back to Texas, like the next weekend, he was doing a concert in Houston, which is like a 3-hour drive from where I live. And I was like, I may want to go. I mean, I did want to go, but we had just driven like 18 hours. So I didn't want to do another road trip. So we backed out of going, but I regret it. I wish we would have. Okay. Now we have Stribling, Ayuk, Antonio Williams, Ryan Flournoy all off the board. Brandon Ayuk's probably my favorite pick in this range. Sean Tucker, 169. Isaac Tesla off 170. It's very simple for what we need to do in the rest of this draft. We need to take 2 more running backs and 2 more receivers. Oh, Desire Best says he flew out for it. I'm going to double check to make sure we actually hit 450 likes. So I'm not getting bamboozled here. We're going to take Tank Bigsby. I know a lot of people like pairing him with Jalen Hurts and go, what happens if Barkley gets hurt? And then all of a sudden the Jalen Hurts stack as well as Bigsby smash together. Okay. Let me refresh this. So now our grade, we're not that unique, not that good of structure, but at least we caught up on some value. The best team in this draft is the Jefferson James Cook team, which is interesting. Let me text the lady and say it's going to be a little bit longer. I told her y'all are sorry. 19 Hockey. Send the email to mason.at.flockfantasy.com. I'll say if y'all can get Morgan Wallen to sign a Flock Fantasy hat, that's a way to get in the Flock League, or at least get to be a finalist. Okay, and then after this, we'll probably get in another puppy draft. Frymuth goes 183. So we are just running back and receiver, right? We're going to take Alvin Kamara here, and then we're going to queue up wide receivers and then bounce into the next draft. The ideal receiving options would be the names in which we have the stacks for. That's Chris Bell, Malik Washington, Dontavian Wicks. And then afterwards, I would say Zachariah Branch, Tank Dell need to be drafted in every draft. Tyreek Hill, I'm an idiot, so I'll take Chris. I don't want Chris Brazzle, or do we? Yeah, I'll queue up Chris Brazzle. I'll queue up Jacoby Lane. Queue up Caleb Douglas, especially with the Malik Willis stack. We'll queue up Chimera DK when we have Cam Ward. And we'll queue up Jalen Knoll. Okay. And actually, we have to queue up even more players in this just in case we were to miss out, because, again, we have a ton of picks before we're on the clock again. Okay. And then let's hop into another puppy draft. Okay, we in here. Let's see what the text back I got. Text back I got, bruh. Now, we get pick 12 in this one, which we have not had so far. And we have to draft against Vinny in this. We have Kadarius Toney as well in this draft with us at 1. Antler Eyes, hope you're doing well. Hope the trip has been fun. And I'll be in Canada too soon. I'll be in Canada in about a month. I need to get my Airbnb and I need to get my flights. Hopefully they're not that expensive. Pull this around. Airbnb. I think I'm going to stay in Buffalo. I'm going to go to Corey Bush from the Flock League Fantasy Stock Exchange is getting married. And it's in Ontario, but Underdog's not in Ontario. However, it is in New York, and I have to fly there for like the entire week. So I'm going to stay on the border of Canada and New York, which is Buffalo, in an Airbnb so I can live stream these drafts for y'all. I told y'all I'm doing it every single day. So we will not be allowed to stay in Canada. Ooh, we can get an Airbnb on the lake. That's not that expensive. Especially, I'll talk to the accountant, but I'm assuming if I live stream from there, it can be a tax write-off. That's the assumption. If you're in the IRS, you can correct me kindly. Don't correct me by putting me in prison with Rasheed Rice. I'll talk to the accountant and see if I'm allowed to. But I would guess that it can be a write-off. Okay. Now, CeeDee Lamb goes at 10. It's just all running backs here. So I'll show you all exactly how you can use the uniqueness stuff to try to have a unique combo in this tournament. We'll see what Vinny does. Vinny goes Achane, which isn't that big of a surprise. So we're going to take James Cook here. And if we just to say, like, hypothetically, you take James Cook at 12, and if you want to see the combos, you can see how many times you've drafted these players with James Cook and what percentage the rest of the field does. So 1.1% of teams will have James Cook, Ashton Jeanty, 1.5% Barkley. So James Cook and Jeanty is a common pairing. It's not the most common pairing. If you wanted a really unique pairing, you could reach down for Bowers. Only 0.1% of teams will have James Cook Bowers. 0.2% will have James Cook London. 0.1% will have James Cook Jeremiah Love, which again, in comparison to Ashton Jeanty, there will be like 10 times the amount of teams in this tournament with James Cook, Ashton Jeanty, in comparison to James Cook and Brock Bowers. Okay. Brad says, when you come to Buffalo, you have to get bar-bill wings. Yeah, we'll be in Buffalo. I'm going to rent a car too, which it will be my first time ever renting a car. I don't know if I was showing y'all this on the screen or I was doing this off the screen. I'm looking at Airbnbs right now. This looks like a little cute Airbnb. You get to see the water. It's near Niagara Falls. I'll be able to go run by Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. I think, don't want to completely butcher how you say it. I'm assuming it's going to be beautiful in July. Here's a loft in Buffalo. 2-bedroom. I need something with a desk for the live stream. I don't know anything about Buffalo though. The furthest I had ever gone to, the furthest northeast I'd ever gone before like last year or 2 years ago. 2 years ago when my fiance was working on Happy Gilmore 2, obviously we had to do some California trip, but she also did, like, they shot Happy Gilmore 2 in New Jersey. And so she had to be in New Jersey for a bit. And so over Thanksgiving, I flew to New York and stayed there with her. That was in 2024. But before then, the furthest northeast I had ever been was Asheville, North Carolina. So I don't know anything about the area. So if anybody's from Buffalo and wants to shout, let me know. Okay. Cloud says rent a Tesla. I've never driven an electric car. Obviously, I've been ridden in electric cars before. But I feel like if I'm renting a car and I'm staying at an Airbnb that I don't know if it has an electric charger or not, would it not be a pain in the butt? Stinkrat says, did she meet John Daly? Yeah, she pretty much, anybody you saw in the movie, she met. Okay, Zay Flowers off at pick 34. Rice goes 33, which is about a decent price for him. Like, I would have taken him if he would have made it to us at 36. Karen goes 35. My highest ranked name's Tedero McMillan. Then it's Javonte Williams. But to be honest with you, I would probably rather go wide receiver here. So I think we're going to take Tedero McMillan, and then we're going to take Garrett Wilson. Which, let's see. Like, if we would look at James Cook, Ashton Genty, and Tedero McMillan, 0.3% of teams have drafted that combo together, which is actually a decent amount for the first 3 rounds. Icon says, who are your top 3 artists right now? So I feel like we talk about this all the time, and I want to be very honest, like very clear with everybody. Music, in my opinion, is all personal preference. There's no subjective fact, this is the best, this is the worst. So I'm going to give you my musical preferences, and you're not going to flame me for it. You're not going to roast me. You're not going to tell me it's trash. Maybe that's your opinion. It's not mine. I'm not going to tell you that your music's trash. You could literally tell me you like anybody. I'm going, oh, cool. Hope you like them a lot. So, pitchforks down. My Mount Rushmore of musical artists. 3 always remain the same. The 4th will rotate in and out. But the 3 that remain the same, and it's been this way for years and years and years, in no particular order, depending on my mood, depending on the day, they can cycle through. Lil Uzi Vert, the best. In certain moods, the best. Drake, incredible. The longevity, unbelievable. And Morgan Wallen. So. Again, some things are objective facts, like I'm the best fantasy football drafter this world's ever seen. But obviously, people like their own music taste. But those are my top 3. The order of those 3 change depending on the day, depending on the mood. But the players inside the top 3 don't change very often. Okay. DNB says 0 for 3. Disagree, my friend. The Albatross says, how do I sync Underdog to the Flock best ball tool? You just go up to the bookmarks on Google Chrome. Like you can see this here with the little puzzle piece. If you hit that and hit this, you can hit sync again and it will sync all your drafts. You just hit your bookmarks, click on the extension, or I'm sorry, those are your extensions. Those aren't your bookmarks. Click on your extension, click on the flockfantasy.com one and hit sync. Okay. Now, Christian Watson goes 57, which is good for me. I wouldn't have taken Watson here. Lamar goes 58. Vinny goes Carnell Tate, who I probably would have looked to draft. We are going to take Quinshawn Judkins and then Jordan Tyson. In general, I don't like if we take Bashal Tootin here instead, I think we lock ourselves into a hyper fragile build. And we also would have James Cook and Tootin sharing the same bye. If we are going hyper fragile, I do prefer in a vacuum all my running backs to have separate bye weeks. Okay. Let's pull this around. NFLology says Uzi and Morgan Wallen has to be on a combination of 0% of rosters. All right, let me know in the chat, who are y'all's big three? Big three musicians. Reagan says, will the tool eventually be able to recommend a position for your next pick? We played around with it, and it wasn't good. Like, we couldn't make it work, to be honest. Like, I mean, it did it, but I disagreed with it a lot of the times. So our big vision with all the tools that we make on flockfantasy.com is we are going to try to give you all the information on how you make the best pick for your team. We're not going to try to tell you exactly what to do, but we're going to try to give you all the information and all the tools for you to be able to do so. But Desire Best is Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Creed 4th. Quideka, Denzel Curry, Kendrick Lamar. To be honest, I don't know two of those. Wallen, Hardy, Luke Combs. So I know Hardy writes a lot of the Morgan Wallen songs. I'm going to be honest, I do not like Hardy at all. Like, I tried to like him, I just didn't. Malachi says Kodak Black, Blink 182, Black Eyed Peas. Black Eyed Peas, banger. I liked Kodak Black a while ago, but I went to a Kodak concert with my younger brothers and my fiance in Tampa back in like 2021. And it was such a bad experience that it made me like never like Kodak ever again. Like, he came out 2 hours late, made us stand there in the rain for him to come out. He was so high you couldn't even understand. Like, he looked like he had no idea where he was. You couldn't understand anything. About 50 people, like his entire group, stood on the stage with him. He just stood on the back of the stage, wandering around as his music played. It was unbelievable. Like, as somebody like, I was telling my fiance this too, is like, I'll go through my entire little pitch and rabbit hole. We're going to take Quentin Johnston and Justin Herbert. I don't have much Justin Herbert at all, and I want to fix that. Obviously, I have a ton of Quentin Johnston because I do like the price tag, so we'll snag him. But yeah, it made me completely dislike Kodak, where I can't listen anymore. And this was like a big, like, if you look at how much work we put into flockfantasy.com and how cheap we make the pricing, my big thought process when we decided to make flockfantasy.com back in 2023 is like, hey, as of right now, with what I can do on Patreon, because previous to that, we had like our subscriptions on Patreon, right? Where it was like, hey, sign up to Patreon and you get my rankings with a Google Sheet. But I was like, I can only bring so much value to my audience and only give them enough like, the ceiling I have to bring like a satisfying product to y'all is so much lower than like obviously paying the devs, spending years to build out everything on the site, blah, blah, blah. Like, for me, it is so damn important to make sure that like whatever I provide my audience with, it's the best that I can possibly make it. So like, to see somebody like Kodak like sell a bunch of tickets and then do that, it's like, okay, from my perspective, that is just a massive F you guys. I don't care about any of y'all. And I can't, like, it's like, I can't listen. Like, I was like, you just gave me the big, like, because essentially you buy someone's concert ticket, you're a paying customer of theirs, you know? And you go to, like, you're a paying customer and that's a product you get, whoever sold you it gave you the double birds. They said, I don't care about you. So I liked Kodak back in the day, but now I can't do it. James Taylor, Pearl Jam, Tame Impala. I like Tame Impala and Pearl Jam a ton. Kid Cudi, Kid Rock, Kid Queel. I think that's probably a joke. Korn, Taylor Swift, Kanye. Linkin Park, Hardy, Ryan. Okay, Pittman 104. Kyle Pitts off the board at 105. Let's move this around. In terms of quarterback stacks, we could reach on Tyler Shuck if we wanted, which obviously, I mean, it does look like we kind of need help at quarterback here. I think we maybe have a backup plan. Never mind, our backup plan's gone. We're going to go Matthew Golden, and then we are going to take Jordan Love, but now that becomes a lot tougher. We do have like late round quarterbacks that we can take. So here's what we're going to do. J.K. Dobbins is my highest ranked player. We're going to take Dobbins. The tool's telling us we can get away with 4 running backs, but also we can go with 5. So we'll take the 5th running back and call it a day at RB. We'll go with Dobbins and Gainwell here, both of whom are not the most exciting picks in the world. Okay. Icon says best concert you've been to. I went to, when we were in California, my fiance was working on the latest, her latest movie. This past year, I went to the Kanye concert at SoFi, which was the, maybe y'all saw clips of it, maybe you didn't. It was this one, like at SoFi Stadium. And that was probably the best concert I've ever been to. Like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of like what I'm talking about with Kodak, where it's like, you go there and it's somebody that put so much work into the product they're selling to their audience, where it's like, I went as kind of like neutral, where it's like, hey, I like Kanye a ton in high school. None of anything he's put out over the past 10 years I've liked, but it's like, oh, this is a cool opportunity. Tickets are pretty cheap. Let's go. And then after going to the concert, it's like, oh, okay, I like you more now than I did previously. Kadarius Tony says, draft analyzer hates my team. And honestly, I feel the same. The draft analyzer, for whatever reason, I sent the devs this too. We have to look into why. It seems like it negatively hurts the Gibbs and Bijan teams more than it should. Like, I like your team a lot, my guy. I would ignore the draft analyzer on that, to be honest. I think the team at 1's really good. At least for me, I think it's great. Now, and I literally sent that message to the devs last night. We're meeting again tomorrow morning. We meet every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I specifically messaged, like, don't let me forget. We need to figure out why the teams at 1 and 2 are receiving poor grades and fix that. Okay. Travis Hunter goes 129. So we can't take another running back, and wide receivers would be ideal for us, but at the same time, looking at the wide receiver options, they're slim to none. Malik Willis goes. We're just going to double tap the tight end position because we don't really have any other options. We don't have any stacks with Cam Ward, Sam Darnold, CJ Stroud. We do have stacking options with some tight ends super late. So we'll take the combination of Jake Ferg as well as Dalton Kincaid. And we will hope that we get like a quarterback like Bryce Young in the coming rounds when we have Tedero McMillan. Shadur McSander says, maybe because the year CMC was the first pick, he got injured. Yeah, if you actually look historically, the number 1 overall pick, I saw this on Twitter, I think a couple days ago. The number one overall pick in Best Ball Mania over the past like 6 years has been the worst pick to have. But of course, just because that's been the case over the past 6 seasons doesn't mean it's guaranteed to be the case this year. So again, we're going to look into seeing if we can adjust that. Okay. Niggy says, any Drake London rankings change with the contract? Him versus Lamb, Jefferson. So Drake London's my most drafted round 2 player outside of Chase Brown. I'm taking a ton of them, but the contract doesn't impact his ranking in the slightest for me. Like, he's the same exact player he was before the contract. He was already seeing a 30% team target share. It's not like that can go much higher. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool that Drake London got paid. The man deserves it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not changing my ranking of him because of so. Okay. We do not want to see any quarterbacks off the board. Let's be straight here. Grant LA says the Devs don't know ball. The Devs did get second in the Flock League last year. They took Gibbs with their first round pick. They got screwed with the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts stack, but they also got JSN. Okay, Trey Tucker goes 151. Darnold 152. These are the 2 teams that we have to fade, which honestly, they probably don't go with another quarterback. We'll see. But those would be the 2 teams that we'd have to fade for a Bryce Young selection. Ooh, I meant to ask you all this. Icon says, have you heard anything about the new Backrooms movie? I just watched it this weekend and was a little bit conflicted, but still a great movie. I haven't heard anything. I want to go watch it. I think we have weekend plans over the next 2 weekends, so it may not be for a couple weekends. I'm going to take Bryce Young here, and I am stupid, so I personally prefer Kenyon Sadiq over Chig. So we're going to go Bryce Young for the Tetero McMillan stack, and then we are going to go Kenyon Sadiq for our third tight end. But, yeah, we have to, literally, we're going to be taking one more QB, and then, yeah, this team's not great. I don't think we have enough wide receiver points. But, yeah, I do want to go see the new Backrooms. So if anybody has anything, let me know. Mr. Key says Backrooms 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Obsession was 9 out of 10. Obsession was so good that it was like the first movie that I was thinking about a week or 2 weeks after I watched it. Literally since I saw like Parasite. Like, the more I think about it, the better Obsession was. It was incredible. And, oh, I don't know if Nick is still in the live stream. He just sent a video of Morgan Wallen signing his hat. That is awesome, my guy. If Nick's here, your video is incredible. Icon says, I've heard Obsession is the best movie of the year so far. Hell, I thought it was great. I really did. But obviously Backrooms is like also breaking every record in terms of their budget, and they had a 20-year-old director. And for me, I just love seeing like young people get their shot to do stuff, especially, I'm very biased, I'm on YouTube. But I just love the idea of meritocracy and like the most talented people that work the hardest getting to, I hate the it's who you know. You know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Like for me personally, I hate that. So whenever I see like the people who made Obsession, the director's like in his mid-20s and he just got popular off YouTube and he had like incredible YouTube videos, so somebody gave him $1 million to make a movie. I love that. Same thing when it's like, oh, the Backrooms movie, it's a 20-year-old director from YouTube. I love that. Desire Best, I did see the piano video. But we are going to hope, of course, not a guarantee, that we end up getting Geno Smith here, which we will. Vinny has 3 quarterbacks already. And we have the combination of Garrett Wilson as well as Kenyon Sadiq. So we're going to take Geno Smith for our 3rd quarterback. We will have him double stacked. And then very rarely do I take Trey Harris, but we'll snag him here on this Justin Herbert team where we need a receiver. And then we are going to go through and we are just going to queue up wide receivers to the rest of this. And you can see this was a brutal draft room to have to be in. It was very tough to make it work, but we'll queue up wide receivers for our next 2 picks. Ted Hurst, Jerry Jeudy, Zachariah Branch, Tank Dell, Chris Bell. All these guys should be getting drafted in every draft. And then we'll queue up our stacks. But I think we are going to call this live stream here, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I'm going to run over to the other room real quick and make sure it's not too late for the lady and I to watch our show before bed. But again, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to be drafting here tomorrow, the next day, the day after that, the day after that, the day after that, and the day after that. If you would like to draft with me, these are basketball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. If you use code FLOCK when you sign up, you'll get $50 added to your account after you play your first 5. Plus, you'll get access to all the flockfantasy.com best ball tools for free and all my best ball rankings for free as well. That way you have a legitimate edge in these drafts. And yeah, if you wanted to just purchase all the best ball tools, all the dynasty tools, all the redraft tools, you can always be an annual mother flocker on flockfantasy.com. We did also just launch the season pass for flockfantasy.com. I want to be very clear. The season pass is only going to be redraft stuff. You wouldn't get any dynasty stuff or any best ball stuff. And it's going to be obviously giving you side access to only the redraft stuff from now until the end of the season. But maybe that's all you do anyway. And if that's the case, that's only $34 on flockfantasy.com. And if you sign up to flockfantasy.com with code FLOCK, I'll be the one that's answering your free questions during the season. But much love, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you in